In his second inaugural address, President Donald Trump outlined a bold vision for a new golden age for America. His speech, filled with dramatic promises and controversial statements, set the tone for what could be a transformative second term focused on reshaping national and international policies. Trump's vision for America. In his inaugural address, President Donald Trump outlined a vision of a new golden age for America, emphasizing his commitment to reshape the nation's policies on key issues like immigration and the economy. Trump, propelled back into office by a wave of voter dissatisfaction with the political establishment, made bold promises to redefine American greatness. He vowed to drastically curtail the rights of asylum seekers and expedite energy extraction on federal lands, signaling a robust stance on national security and energy independence. His vision included ending government-promoted diversity programs and strictly adhering to traditional gender recognitions, which he highlighted as aligning with the values of many of his supporters. This agenda, as outlined by Trump, seeks to reinvigorate America's global stature by focusing inwardly on national interests, promoting economic growth, and reinforcing borders against what he perceives as external threats to American prosperity. Dramatic promises and contradictions. President Trump's inaugural speech was marked by a series of dramatic promises that showcased both ambition and inherent contradictions. On one hand, he pledged to usher in a new era of prosperity and strength, positioning America to reclaim its role as a dominant global power. On the other, his speech contained conflicting messages, especially when discussing foreign policy and domestic challenges. Trump proposed bold initiatives like changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America and reclaiming control over the Panama Canal, suggesting an aggressive stance on redefining international boundaries and America's influence. These statements aimed to bolster national pride, but also risked straining relationships with international allies and neighbors. At the same time, his commitment to ending the weaponization of government and reducing federal oversight seemed at odds with his calls for expansive executive powers to address national emergencies. This juxtaposition reflects Trump's complex approach to governance, where populist rhetoric often meets the practical realities of executing presidential duties. Cultural and social policies. In his renewed leadership role, President Trump emphasized a stringent agenda on cultural and social issues that resonated deeply with his base. He explicitly promised to terminate government-supported diversity programs and affirmed that official U.S. policy would only recognize two genders, male and female. These declarations sparked significant applause during his speech, highlighting their popularity among his supporters. Trump's focus on these polarizing topics underscores his strategy to solidify his political foothold by appealing to cultural conservatism, which played a central role in his electoral success. Populist rhetoric and anti-establishment themes. Throughout his inaugural address, Trump revisited the populist and anti-establishment rhetoric that has been a hallmark of his political persona. He painted a bleak picture of the current American political landscape, describing it as a crisis of trust, fueled by the vicious, violent, and unfair weaponization of government agencies against him. By condemning what he termed the radical and corrupt establishment, Trump positioned himself as an outsider, continuing his battle against a deeply entrenched political elite. This narrative, consistent with his previous campaigns, aims to rally his base by reinforcing his image as a disruptor who challenges the status quo and champions the disenfranchised. Executive actions and promises. President Trump used his inaugural address to detail a series of executive actions that underscore his agenda for rapid and significant policy changes. He pledged to declare national emergencies related to energy and immigration, empowering him to deploy the U.S. military on the border and limit the rights of asylum seekers drastically. Trump also announced plans to reopen large swathes of federal land to energy extraction. In addition to his national security and energy strategies, Trump pledged to overhaul U.S. trade policies by implementing protective tariffs and revising trade agreements to favor American industries and workers. This includes new measures aimed at revitalizing manufacturing and preventing job outsourcing. His promise to suspend the TikTok ban and withdraw from the World Health Organization also indicates a shift towards prioritizing national interests in technology and health policy over global cooperation norms. These actions reflect Trump's commitment to a doctrine of America First, aiming to strengthen internal capabilities while redefining the country's engagement on the global stage. Controversial remarks and unscripted moments. Donald Trump's inaugural address was interspersed with controversial remarks and unscripted moments that underscored his unconventional approach to the presidency. Following the formal speech, during various appearances around the Capitol, Trump deviated from prepared remarks to engage directly with his supporters in a style that has often generated headlines. He described the 2020 election as rigged and implicated former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi as criminally responsible for the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. These spontaneous comments reflect the dual nature of Trump's public persona, both as a president and a populist provocateur. His off-the-cuff remarks at the gathering of supporters in the Capitol revealed the unscripted Trump, known for his ability to stir controversy and reshape the news cycle. These moments not only energize his base, but also create challenges for allies and adversaries alike, who must navigate the implications of his unpredictable statements. Implications for domestic and international policy. Domestically, Trump's renewed presidency and the initiatives laid out in his inaugural speech suggest a decisive shift towards more centralized executive power, which may lead to significant changes in how federal agencies operate and enforce laws. His push for a full-time in-office federal workforce and scaling back remote work options represents a broader aim to revert to pre-pandemic administrative norms, which could affect federal employee morale and productivity. On the international front, Trump's dismissal of multilateral engagements and preference for bilateral deals could reshape U.S. foreign relations significantly. His skepticism towards international climate agreements and previous commitments, such as the Paris Climate Accords, might isolate the U.S. from global efforts to combat climate change, affecting the country's leadership role in environmental stewardship. As Trump embarks on his second term, his inaugural address has clearly laid out an agenda filled with ambitious goals and bold directives. The implications of his policies, both at home and abroad, will undoubtedly shape the future of American governance and its global standing, marking a profound shift in U.S. leadership. If you found this analysis insightful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into political events. DeepSeeker brings you deeper analysis than anyone else, so make sure you're part of the journey.